My daughter ditched me for her rich stepdad when she was 12, asking me to give up my parental rights. Now she's 22, broke, and wants me back after her mom died and stepdad kicked her out. My ex-wife, who was 41 at the time, and I, who was 45, split up 12 years ago. She found comfort in a rich guy's bed. Sorry, but that's the truth. She was a stay-at-home wife and mom. She never wanted to work or make money. All she wanted was to stay home, take care of the house, and look after our daughter after she was born. Even though money was tight for me, I never made her get a job. I was working 2 jobs and making enough to put a decent meal on the table. But my earnings couldn't support the fancy lifestyle she wanted. I won't go into the details about my relationship with my ex. This story is about Lara. I might talk about my ex-wife another time. When Lara was 10, my ex-wife admitted she had been sleeping with some rich dude. She moved out that same day and we filed for divorce. We became co-parents for Lara. Since I had 2 jobs and she had none, we agreed that I would have Lara on weekends. I had a great connection with Lara. We went on some awesome adventure trips together. Even though the divorce was tough, spending time with her made me feel so much better. As time went on, I noticed Lara was avoiding our meetings. Before, every Friday I would get excited for her email with details about what she wanted to do the next weekend. But the emails started changing to sorry, I can't make it this weekend. We're going skiing or on some other fancy trip with stepdad. At first, I let it go, thinking he was just trying to make Lara happy and I shouldn't be jealous. But eventually, I realized that Lara didn't want to see me as often. Our weekly meetings turned into twice a month, and then it became once a month, and even then, it was just for one day of the weekend. I noticed she wasn't enjoying our time together like she used to. When it became clear she was intentionally ignoring me, I confronted her. I tried to make her see that I was doing my best to keep her happy, even going out of my way. Even after that, she kept ditching our weekend hangouts, but now she started lying to me. Now she won't admit she was going out with her stepdad. Instead, she'd make up an excuse about having school homework or projects to finish on the weekends. Sometimes it sounded legit, but most of the time it was total BS. During the little time we spent together, she'd always go on about how much better it was hanging out with her stepdad because he doesn't check the price tag before ordering anything. Even when I'd take her on trips, she'd always compare it to how much more fun it was with her stepdad. She started complaining about every tiny thing that didn't bother her before. But she never stopped bragging about the new PS her stepdad got her or the new bike her mom bought. I thought maybe she was too young to get that showering her with stuff isn't the same as love. Things got worse when she ghosted me for over 3 months, ignoring all my calls and texts. I called up my lawyer and filled him in on everything. He told me I could sue my wife for turning Lara against me, but Lara was 12 and might tell the court she didn't want to spend time with me anymore. He said it could backfire. Lara could say she needed more money to keep up her lifestyle, which would mean upping the child support. Yeah, I was still paying child support even though her rich stepdad was doing all this fun stuff for her. I dropped the idea of suing my ex for custody. It just wasn't worth it. My lawyer suggested we could have a formal talk with them outside of court. It would give me the clarity of what they wanted. I agreed to go along with this plan. My lawyer sent them a notice with all the details. He mentioned we wanted to settle things out of court. I had a weird feeling that my ex-wife might not want to talk because she had the money and time to drag this through court. To my surprise, she agreed to meet and sort this out in front of the attorney. At that meeting, my ex-wife's husband was there too, along with my ex-wife and Lara. They both said they were out of it. They had nothing to do with Lara ghosting me. They admitted they had no part in it. They stepped back and let Lara speak for herself. Lara then dropped the biggest bombshell you could imagine. She said she wanted me to give up my parental rights. That was 10 years ago, but the memory of that awful moment is still so clear to me. I was speechless for I don't know how long. My lawyer nudged me to say something. I just kept staring at everyone, not knowing what to say. I looked at my ex-wife and she smirked like she knew what was coming. I held Lara's hand and said, "Baby, I hope you know what you're saying. Giving up on my parental rights means you can't call me dad, you won't be my daughter anymore." She pulled her hand away, looked right at me, and said, "Yeah, that's what I want." I was shocked. I couldn't find the words to make her see the impact of her choice. My lawyer tried to explain what would happen if I disowned her, like how it would affect property and stuff, but she wouldn't budge. She turned to her stepfather and asked, "Once he disowns me, you'll be able to adopt me as your daughter, right?" He nodded with big eyes, "Surely, darling." Words can't describe how bitter I felt at that moment. My world fell apart. To put it mildly, I lost my purpose in life. After being cheated on by my wife of 15 years, the only bright spot in my life was Lara. She was the only one I looked up to after juggling 2 jobs. I hadn't dated anyone even 2 years after my divorce. I didn't have the time, and honestly, I didn't want to. I wanted to give my full love and attention to Lara, and this is what I got back. She wanted to ditch me. I was such a mess that I couldn't think straight. My lawyer bought us some time to respond. I bet my ex and her new husband slept like bobbies that night, seeing me so down. My lawyer drove me home. After he left, I bawled like a baby for hours in my empty house. All sorts of emotions were just pouring out of me. I called my parents and filled them in on Lara's demand. They were totally freaked out. They came over right away to comfort me. My parents, especially my mom, were really close to Lara. She had taken care of her for over a year. My ex had to have surgery and was on bed rest for a year. During that time, my mom looked after both of them, Lara and my ex-wife. Mom tried her best, but Lara was dead set on me giving up my parental rights. She really wanted to be her stepdad's daughter. He had told her he couldn't adopt her unless I gave up my rights. I asked my lawyer what my options were. He said we could sue them for messing with Lara's head. But since Lara was 12, it'd be tough to prove she was being manipulated. Plus, they had the cash to drag out a long court battle, and I didn't. And what's the point of fighting? The person I'm fighting for is already on their side. It's a lost cause. I had no choice but to take the bitter pill and give up my fatherly rights. For the next week, I was holed up in my bed. I quit my second job. What was I earning for now? I lost all motivation to get up in the morning and go to work. I took so much time off from my full-time job and messed up so much that I ended up getting fired. I moved to a different town, crashed at a subway station, and wandered around like a crazy person for days. Slowly, I started to pull myself together. I landed a new job, started hitting the gym, and signed up for therapy. It took me a solid 2 years to get my head straight. I steered clear of the dating scene, but I went on a bunch of solo hikes to help me heal. On one of those trips, I met my current wife, Brianna. She had a daughter, Emma, who was 5 at the time. After dating for a bit, we decided to live together. When Brianna introduced me to Emma for the first time, I lost it. She reminded me so much of Laura. I really wanted Emma to call me Dad, but I held back. I didn't want to set myself up for more pain. I kept things healthy but distant with Emma. It all came full circle when, on her 12th birthday, Emma asked me to adopt her. I was totally blown away. Oh, now I have 2 daughters, Emma, and a 3-year-old toddler, Amy, with my second wife. I think I've given you enough background on my situation. Now fast forward to a week ago. I was coming home from work and saw a familiar face smiling at me. As I got closer, I realized it was none other than Laura. I got chills like I was seeing a ghost. She'd gotten taller, leaner, and way prettier, but there was no mistaking her. She ran up to me and hugged me, saying, "Dad, I'm your daughter, Laura. I finally found you." I looked at her with dead eyes and said, "I have 2 daughters, but it's not you." Before she could say anything else, I started walking away. She followed me, but I turned around and said, "Stop following me or I'll report you." I didn't see her after that. The next day, she showed up at my house. As soon as I opened the door, she said, I'm sorry. I know you're mad at me, but please hear me out. Mom's dead and Dad, I mean my stepdad, has brought his mistress home. He doesn't love me the way he used to when Mom was alive. He's cut me off financially and says I need to earn my own money now. When I kept pushing, he said he's going to disown me. I heard her rant and then replied with a straight face, "So what?" She started begging me for another chance. I yelled at her to get out and slammed the door in her face. She then went to my mom and said sorry to her. She totally played on Mom's emotions with her tears, and now Mom wants me to make up with Laura for the sake of the family. The pain she's put me through just won't let me reconcile with her. Am I stuck? Update 1, addressing the comments. Some of you asked about my ex-wife, wondering if she was a gold digger to figure out if she was the one who influenced Laura or if it was something to do with me. So here's a quick rundown on my ex-wife. We dated for 2 years before tying the knot. While we were dating, she was working at a local bar. I was a regular there, and that's how we started seeing each other. She was living with her coworker. I had one full-time job and was living in a studio apartment. That's when I picked up another job, saved up more, and bought a house so we could live together. We got married and she quit her job. For the first 6-7 years of marriage, she was happy and content with my earnings, but then she started complaining about how her friends had snagged much richer husbands than hers. She would even say to my face that she should have held out longer to find a wealthier guy instead of settling for me. It was hurtful, and we would end up in huge fights. Of course, I couldn't just stand there and take all the crap she would throw at me. Eventually, our relationship got cold and distant, and one day, she dropped the bombshell that she had been sleeping with a rich guy and would be moving out to live with him. I didn't beg her to stay, but I warned her that these rich guys treat women like her as toys. They play with them and then toss them aside when they're done. She said this time, she didn't rush into things. She had been seeing that guy for 2 years, and now she trusted him enough to move in with him. After that, I had nothing to say. I just kept quiet and dealt with it. Some of you pointed out that Lara was only 12, not an adult, when she asked me to disown her, so maybe I should have fought for her. And since I had my own reasons for not fighting for her, I shouldn't be so hard on her now. I should accept her. In my defense, I'd say you guys are right. She was a minor when all this went down. I'm not denying that she was being emotionally manipulated. She was also financially manipulated. But when she turned 18 and became an adult, she could have reached out to me, and she didn't. She's 22 now and only contacted me because her stepdad cut her off financially. Someone asked how my ex-wife died. Well, I didn't ask Lara about it, but she told my mom that my ex passed away from a terminal illness. Lara had a liver problem and even had surgery for it when she was a baby. Anyway, the thing is, Lara is now emotionally manipulating my mom to help her reconcile with me. Instead of talking it over on a call, I went to visit my mom. I found out that Lara had been feeding her sob stories to win her back. She said she was homeless, had no job and no money, and that she'd been living on the street since her stepdad kicked her out. Mom insisted I meet her once, so I agreed for my mom's sake. Mom called Lara, and she showed up within an hour. I grilled her so hard that all her truths came spilling out. It turned out that her mom and stepdad had spoiled her so much that she never even finished high school. She was too busy vacationing and dining with them to remember that education and school were a thing. I don't know what that guy was thinking, spoiling her that much. Forget about him. God knows what her mom was on that she ruined her daughter's life like this. I don't know how true any of this is since her mom isn't around to confirm it. Lara says everything she did or told me was her mom's plan to humiliate me. That whole parental rights thing and the ghosting phase before that. I asked her why her mom would do that to me. She said it was because I wasn't making enough money to buy her mom premium branded clothes and accessories. That had caused a bunch of embarrassing situations for her in front of her friends. Lara told me that my ex set up this plan to embarrass and humiliate me in front of her husband. Hearing all this was tough. It brought back all those painful memories from the past that I had tried so hard to forget. I told her whatever happened was in the past. Her mom was gone, so what does she want from me now? She said she wanted me to accept her as my daughter. I asked her what would change if I did that. She quickly replied, "It means I would be your daughter and you would have my back." I said, "Okay, I'll accept you as my daughter, but you won't get anything from me except love. I'm going to leave my property, my insurance money, and my savings to Emma and Amy, but I'm going to love you as my eldest daughter. Will that work for you?" She froze. After stammering for a bit, she said, "Yeah, we can talk about the money stuff later. You're not going to make a will now, are you?" I said yes. I've already named Emma and Amy in my insurance and savings account. I've also bought a house in the new city which I've given to my second wife, Brianna. I'm not going to change it for you. If you're okay with it, then get that paper that I signed giving up my parental rights, and I'll ask my lawyer to make another one overturning the earlier one. She said, "Yeah, sure." She was quiet for the rest of the time. My mom offered her dinner, but she left, saying she had something to take care of. 2 weeks have gone by since then, and she hasn't shown up. I mentioned to my mom that it was all about money. Since I told her I wouldn't be giving her any money, she backed off. What a useless piece of shit she is. Update 2, oh, I told you it was all about money, and yes, it is. 2 weeks back, Lara showed up at my mom's place again. Mind you, this is 4 months after we had the last conversation. She looked miserable with red, puffy eyes covered in dark circles. She had rashes all over her body, probably from eating something she's allergic to. She was crying and begging for help. She wanted money from Mom. She said ever since her stepdad had disowned her, she had been living with her friend, and now that friend has also kicked her out. She has sold most of her stuff to buy food for these many months, but now she's broke and has nothing left. Mom asked her why she didn't get a job. She said she was a school dropout and no one would hire her. Mom said she could talk to a friend who runs a bakery and get her a job cleaning or something. Besides, there are so many jobs that don't need a school degree. Lara didn't say anything to that. She just sobbed and asked Mom for some money. Mom gave her some packed food and $100. She asked her why she didn't bring that document to overturn the disownment. She said it was in her stepdad's house and she would get it next time. She took the money and food and left. Mom didn't tell me about this visit. She thought I would get mad at her. 3 days back, Lara again showed up at Mom's place with the same sob story. Mom asked her what she did with the money. She said she used that for food. Mom asked what about the job. She didn't give any straight answer. This time Mom didn't give her money. Mom said she didn't have the money, nor any extra food. She just gave her a loaf of bread. She took it and was about to leave when Mom asked her if she had changed her mind about being my daughter. She replied, "What's the point of having him as dad when he's not gonna give me any money? He has given away all his stuff to his beggar stepchildren." Mom was astonished at her words. Mom kicked her out and warned her not to come back to her house. Mom called me right away and filled me in on both of her visits. I was pretty ticked off that she helped her the first time. I told Mom to be careful when she answers the door at night. From the way Mom described Lara's look, it sounds like she's hanging out with the wrong crowd. She could be dangerous to Mom, especially since she's been living alone since Dad passed away last year. We're going to get a restraining order against her if she shows up again and causes trouble. I went over to Mom's place today. I walked around to see if I could spot Lara nearby, but I didn't see her anywhere. I'm planning to stay here for a week. I'm not sure what to do, but I do feel bad for her. If what she said about my ex was true, then my ex really went overboard to embarrass me, and in the process, she wrecked her own daughter's life. And if Lara is making it all up, then she's already facing the consequences of her actions. By the way, someone mentioned in my last post that everyone has the right to make their own choices and that Lara wasn't evil for siding with her stepdad over me, just that she chose the wrong side. I guess you're right. She made her choice 10 years ago, and now she has to live with it for the rest of her life. Now, moving on to the next story. Story 2. My shy girlfriend, who hates social media, has a secret 8-year-old Reddit account where she bullies people every day. She gets upset when she gets downvoted and lies about her appearance to put others down. I'm 35M, and she's 37F, so I came home from work today and saw my partner just sitting at the desk, laughing to herself with her headphones on, so I figured she was watching a movie or something and didn't think much of it. A little while later, I popped my head in to ask her what she wanted for dinner and was surprised to see she was on Reddit, which was weird to me because she's totally against social media and stuff. But I thought it was cool she was trying something new since she has agoraphobia and doesn't get out much without me. I quickly peeked at her name and figured it'd be interesting to check out her posts. Yeah, I know it was an invasion of privacy, and to my surprise, the account was 8 years old. That means it was around a couple of years before we even started dating. What was even more shocking was the stuff she had said on there. So much hate towards random people for seemingly no reason at all. It wasn't just a few comments here and there either. It was literally an account dedicated to hatting on people, and she seemed proud of it. One recent example was she spent an entire day just hassling someone, and it doesn't even stop there because she makes up stories, fat shames people, and bullies those with disabilities. This one really stings because she knows I have autism and claims everyone who tells her she needs help is projecting. I would sometimes come home from work, and she'd be in a bad mood but wouldn't tell me why. After looking at her comment history, a lot of her bad moods seem to line up with days she got downvoted a lot, and she even lies about her physical appearance just to bring others down. It's sick. How do I even bring this up? This stuff is just downright hateful, and I don't want her to freak out at me. What do I even do? I'm scared she's one argument away from someone coming to find her. Comments Murater, this is the person you are dating. This is how she behaves when there are no consequences for her actions. She's not a kind person. Rounders underscore and underscore knickers, what do you think about having a partner who secretly likes to be cruel to others and thinks it's funny? Only you can answer that. Successful underscore bitch 107 agreed, and the fact that her entire day mood can be ruined just because she gets downvotes is concerning and extremely unhealthy. I mean, if you need that level of validation for your self-esteem from internet strangers, I think some therapy appointments are desperately needed. At underscore ouch, especially since she's a troll, I feel kinda bad for a moment if I get downvoted when I share something personal, but then I can just delete it or brush it off and move on. If I knew I was writing something controversial, why would the downvotes even bother me? So she chooses to be deliberately antagonistic and then lets the fallout mess with her mood. That's just weird. Cobblemagin, catfish her and make her harass you. Then cry at the dinner table over the ableist Redditor who tanked your self-esteem. Hope to see this on Bora in a few weeks. KMF 1107, I find it so pathetic that she's agoraphobic, which means she's anxious about social interactions, being humiliated and stuff like that. But she's out here being cruel to others online, and that definitely messes with their anxiety and mental health. This is a shitty person, and I'd cut my losses, to be honest. Public underscore pool 9736, it's kind of creepy she's kept this a big secret for so long. It's also strange that she can be mean to total strangers and enjoys belittling others without you having any idea. She sounds like she's got some unaddressed mental health issues. That old saying, mean people suck, is still true. Update, I had a bunch of message requests asking if the post was about them. If you thought that, then I think it's time to stop your crappy behavior. I want to address some comments from the last post. I'm pretty sure she is blocked from this subreddit since all of her comments on this sub were removed. According to a Remove Reddit site, and I also blocked her account while slightly adjusting the ages. After spending a good hour last night really digging into her profile and bookmarking her worst stuff, I decided to bring it up with her. I was going to ask a mutual friend to come over, but I didn't want to embarrass her, so instead, I put my phone on record in my pocket, just in case she was going to claim I did anything against her. I waited until after lunch and asked her if she could just hang tight for a sec, set my phone to record, and then pulled up some screenshots on a tablet. Her face fell, and after a few seconds of scrolling, she walked out of the room. I was gonna go after her, but I decided to let it be. She came back downstairs and just said sorry. I asked her why she was apologizing to me, and she responded with, "I don't know." I pressed her on why she did it, and all I got was another, "I don't know." I showed her one of the screenshots where she claimed my friends love how much of a jerk I am online, and asked if any of her friends knew about this. She said no, just me. I mentioned that I couldn't understand why someone would spend so much time on this, and she said at first it was just a way to blow off steam, but then it felt good because people were agreeing with her, and it kinda became part of her daily routine. After some more talking, I told her how much she hurt me with her attacks on people with mental health issues, and she just said, "I doubt they even had any issues. They were just playing victim because they were losing the argument." I've packed my stuff, and I'm gonna crash at a friend's place. I'm gonna block Reddit on the ISB and asked her to not reach out to me for a couple of days while I figure things out. I've also asked her to find somewhere else to stay since I can't stay at my buddy's for too long and I need a break. If I'm being honest, I'm not sure if I ever want to see her again. I was gonna ask her to apologize to everyone she stirred up trouble for, but at this point, I know she won't mean it. I'll keep you posted on any further updates right here. Comments guilty, board 933. The fact that you felt the need to record this conversation on your phone makes me feel like this is not a healthy relationship, regardless of the Reddit trolling. A year of storms. Judge people by how they treat those they can hurt without consequences. She's a total online bully, super mean to folks when she's hiding behind a screen, and there's no chance of getting caught. You're definitely making the right call. Okie dokie 654, yeah. Your true character shows in what you do when no one's watching. I believe being anonymous online is pretty much the same deal.